Hello and welcome to my book nook where I talk about all things stories. I am really excited to be filming this video. This is something that I started like this year, January 2021, I guess December 2024 is when I, had the idea. And before I was back to posting on YouTube and it worked out fairly well. I'm hoping that next year will be a little bit better just because I've also like curated my bookshelves and whatnot. But that is going to be my yearly TBR. And I do it a little bit different. I think I saw a couple people doing it for 2025 just because the numbers worked out. But that is to make a TBR bingo board. Because a lot of people like to do like the same number of the year, right? So like it was like 24 and 24, 25 and 25. A lot of people are going to do 26 and 26. And like, where's the cutoff? And I know Mel from Mel Loves to Read, she does now like just 10 books that she wants to read in a year. But for me, I make a bingo board. And it's not necessarily that I have to read all 10 of these or all 25 of these books. I would like to, but for me, it's part of a game in a sense. So here is my 2025 one. And you can see it's color coded. And that is because I like to see what books I complete, what books I DNF, and what books I unhaul without reading. And you can see I did all of that. Um, Ideally, I would get a bingo in the same color, but that did not happen at all, which is completely fine. It is what it is. It is okay. But this is mine from 2025. So there are only 3 books that I did not get to. No, 4. I can't count. There are 4 books that I did not get to this year, but everything else I either completed, I DNF'd, or I unhauled it. With the biggest section possibly, I think, being DNF, which is the pink, if not the unhaul, which is blue, but I think it's the pink. I think the DNF is the biggest, but that's fine. It is like, to me, it's not like, oh, I think these are necessarily all going to be like the best books of all time. These are just the books that, and here's the thing too, these are all books that I owned in my collection. These were all my shelves. So obviously with that many DNFs and unhauls, most of these books are now gone. Over the course of the year. My bookshelves are looking a little funky because I have all 25 books. Like I said, these are from my physical TBR, so I have all 25 of these books on my shelves right now. I also am going to be trying to participate in the Romantasy bingo. I originally was going to make a TBR video, and now so much time has passed, I don't know if anybody would actually be interested in it, but I do have a TBR, so here are all the prompts and then the books that would fit. I have finished one already, and that is The Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent, and I did that for first person, so I have marked that off already. That is this TBR. And I went through, and all of my books that are like I pre-ordered that are coming in, those are on here in some form or fashion, plus then the books that I own that I haven't read. For the most part, most of the ones that I've owned I've already read, but that's okay. I wanted to prioritize the books that I'm already bringing in. There's only a few of them that I may have to outsource. But we're going on to the 2026 TBR bingo board. So this is my board. Again, you can see my color coding little key here. Technically, there is a chance. Technically, there is a chance because I am filming this on December 11th. There is a chance some of these may technically be read before we can get to 2026. I doubt it, especially because I have other books I could prioritize, but I doubt it. Also, there is like one book on here. There is a chance that I may unhaul it before we get to 2026. I don't think so, but like there is a chance. So either way, I have 25 books to talk about, so we are just going to stop procrastinating and we're just going to jump into this. So first up, I have Mate by Ali Hazelwood. This was a book that I pre-ordered. I read Bride and absolutely loved it. So when Mate was announced, I pre-ordered it. It arrived. But it arrived, I think maybe when I was out of town, or I just had other books coming in, so I didn't get to read it right when it was released. This is one that I am very excited for. This is a high priority. This is one of the ones that may potentially be read before the end of the year. I don't think it would, but it is a potential just because of how excited I am to read it. But I am also thinking about waiting until January because I want to read this for my K-pop readathon. But yes, this is a paranormal romance with a werewolf and a human were hybrid. And like I said, this is the second one. I would recommend reading the first one just because you get a little bit of background to at least one of the main characters in Bride. So, but yes, Mate by Ellie Hazelwood. This is the first book that is on that TBR. Next up, we have The Striker by Anna Wong. I technically have this on Kindle. This is a soccer or football romance. And it is two, like, our main character and another guy basically are being forced to take ballet lessons. And it is the other guy's sister. She is the teacher, and it is a romance between the two of them. This is a chunky book, which is why I also don't think I'm going to be finishing this. But I do have the ebook, and I am currently reading it, so there is technically a chance. But also, this is one that I have kind of also put on my K-pop readathon TBR as well. So I love Anna Wong's writing. I love her books. You will see there's at least one other book in this stack by her as well. So I have this one. Then I have the second one already, The Defender, that is already on my shelves. And then The Keeper, which is the third and I think last book that's going to be in this trilogy. That one I have pre-ordered. So ideally I'm reading The Striker and The Defender, but for just this TBR, we're just going to put The Striker. Then we have one that was on my 2025 one. This is also one of the oldest books still in my collection, and that is Circe by Madeline Miller. Like I said, this is one of the oldest books on my TBR. Like, there's like 3 of them that I have that are my collection, like in my collection, that are from, I think, 2023, I think 23. That I haven't read yet, and they are all in this stack. This is one of them, but this is like a Greek mythology kind of inspired story and whatnot. So I am really excited for this one. I have heard nothing but good things for this. So I am really hoping to get to this one. So this is, honestly, I think this one might even be on my K-pop TBR. Listen, I tried to kind of like be strategic when I'm making TBRs of like things that are going to check off like multiple boxes, you know? So next up, speaking of one of the oldest books on my TBR, that when I say oldest, I mean oldest like that I purchased and they've just been sitting on my shelves. And that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. I have, I think, 2 or 3 of her books. 2. I have 2 of her books. The other one is Book Lovers, and I've heard amazing things by her, and I want to read these so I know if she is like an all-time favorite author for mine, if I should prioritize her books, or if those are like library, just figure out where I stand with her, right? And so this one is I'm like making sure I'm not confusing it with the other one, but basically this is like 2 writers, they write different genres and whatnot, and I believe they swap genres for the summer to basically be like, my genre is harder than yours, we're gonna write but they don't believe the other, so they're gonna swap genres to write. So that is this one. And then the last book for that first line of bingo is The Graham Effect by Elle Kennedy. This is from the Bookish Box, I think. The thing is yes, the Bookish Box. So they have a physical store in Arizona. That is where I got this one. This is technically the alternate cover. The actual cover is, this way. But I liked the art, the cartoon people and whatnot. Yes, that is the one that, like, it came with it, and then I flipped it. There's nothing wrong with the other one. I like it, plus it goes more with the books that I have. If you don't know what The Graham Effect is, this is like the spin-off series, well, one of the spin-off series to Briar U, or Off Campus. I think it's Off Campus. I think it's one of the two. It's either Off Campus or Briar U. Either way, the other one is the other spinoff. Following like Graham, Hannah, Logan, Grace, Dean, Allie, Tucker, and Sabrina. Yes. And this series follows the children of that generation. So it's kind of like the next generation. But they're hockey sports romances and they are great. I binge read the first series. End of 2024, beginning of 2025. Absolutely loved them. I have The Graham Effect, and then I have The Dixon Rule already on my shelves. And then there's a third one, I think it's called The Charlie something. I don't own that one, but it is on my list. I would like to eventually get it, but we're going to prioritize this one. I did also just get the audiobook for this one, just arrived, so technically there's a chance that this one may be read beforehand. But if it happens, I'm not mad at it. Like, it is what it is. I'm excited for that book. All right, now we're going on to the second line for my TBR. And so first up, we have The Game Changer by Lana Ferguson. I also just got the audiobook for this one arrived. Oops. Listen, I just, it is what it is. But anyways, this is another hockey romance. But this one is, like I said, by Lana Ferguson. She is the author of The Fake Mate and The Mating Game. I read The Fake Mate, absolutely loved it. Then The Mating Game just came in. That is my current read. Like, that is my main priority. That one will most likely be done by the end of this year. This is, like I said, her hockey sports romance. I have read or attempted to read one other book by her, and that was The Nanny. That one was also on my 2025 bingo board, and I ended up DNFing it simply because I did not like the main character and some of the tropes, which was a personal decision. There was nothing against her or her writing. I still loved the book. It was just I couldn't vibe with the characters and the tropes, which happens. You can see I'm still obviously very interested in her books and whatnot. So this is one that is, again, on my TBR. I made the realization earlier today that I'm really bad about telling people what the books are about when I'm talking about them. And then as a downfall, now I'm talking about them a lot, but I have 25 books to go through. So I'm really hoping this video isn't ridiculously long. But anyways, the next book I have is King of Sloth by Ana Huang. Like I said, she is in here again. And the funny part is this is right underneath the Strikers. So technically, if I'm going bingo down, I would be reading 2 of her books in a row. This is the next book that I have in the Kings of Sin series. This is book 4. Book 5 is already out. It's on my shelves. That is King of Envy. And then King of Greed. Yes, King of Greed is coming out later this year. I do also have that one pre-ordered. So again, ideally, I'm reading King of Sloth, King of Envy before King of Greed arrives, and then reading King of Greed. But we will see. But basically, this series is all like billionaire romances. And they, the main male character tends to fall into one of the tropes of the 7 deadly sins. So this one is obviously King of Sloth. The first one, King of Wrath, right? Like, it's more so like he had anger issues. He was very protective, like there's a reason for it and whatnot. But yeah, so like I said, I love her books. So this is one that I definitely really want to prioritize and get to this year. Next up, I have Tusk Love by Thea Guanzon. I am so sorry. I definitely probably butchered that. But this is one that I heard about, and I'm either going to love it or hate it, because I've heard very mixed reviews on it. And if I don't end up liking it, I will probably be sending it to one of my friends, Tristan. I always, when it has a reverse cover, I always pull the wrong side to show you, but like this is like the reverse side. And so you can see based off of this style and whatnot, this book, if you have heard the D&D campaign, what is it called? There is a D&D campaign that is really popular on Critical Role. That is what it is. Critical Role. It is like on social media and whatnot. Like, and this is why like I may potentially be sending this to one of my friends because they like watch Critical Role and whatnot. But there is a D&D campaign that is going on. It's super big and whatnot. And this is the story that one of the characters in the campaign is obsessed with. So like a RPG player basically created a fake story and whatnot, and then now that got turned into a book, and that's what this is and whatnot. I play in D&D, and I just thought this was a really fun concept, and it's also super short. This should be a quick, easy read, so I'm excited for it. I'm gonna give it a shot. I hope it's gonna be really good. I hope it is something that is up my alley and that I really enjoy, but I have heard mixed things. I don't remember why I've heard mixed things about it, but I have. But either way, I'm excited for it. Next book is Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. I have heard amazing things about her books, like all of them. I am hesitant to try her more horror type books. This is one of her like fantasy romantasy ones. I honestly don't really remember much about what this one is about anymore. I should. At one point I really did, but I am very excited for this. I do know this is a romantasy one, so when I read this one, it would be able to go on my romantasy bingo board as well. But listen, I am not going to take the time to read that synopsis out for you right now. Just know that at least so far 9 books, and I've been able to tell you the synopsis for all of them but one off the top of my head. And then we had The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. This is from what I remember, it's a cozy fantasy. I think there's a romance, so I think it might be like a cozy romantasy. I mean, granted, most cozy fantasies are romance, but anyways, that is what this one is. She has another book coming out later this year that I have pre-ordered because it sounds really interesting to me and I've heard really good things about her books. However, I do not want that pre-order to come in before I've read this book. So if I have not read this book by the time that pre-order comes in, I have to cancel it. So I am really, really hoping that I prioritize this and I love it before that one comes in so that way I can still get it. But yes, it is a cozy fantasy and I'm really excited for it. So it's also got like great springtimey vibes based off of the cover. So I'm hoping it doesn't come in too early where like into the year where I can't read that in the springtime. But also I live in Arizona and we basically have like 2 seasons, which is hot and then slightly less hot. Except for like 3 weeks out of the year where it's actually kind of cold, which is currently where we're at. Ugh. All right. Now we are into the third row. We are in this middle section of the bingo board. Next up, we have Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is also a fantasy, romantasy. I think it's a fantasy with a romance subplot. This is I think it's a trilogy. I know there are 3 books currently out. I think the third one is the last one, but you know, it's definitely kind of like academia type vibes where you have the scholar, she's going to this remote area to try to write about these fairies, and then I think a rival scholar or whatnot shows and kind of tries to you know, take a mess kind of with, he wants to also do it and whatnot, and there's just rivalry kind of stuff, which I really like rivals to lovers. Also, this is the hardback. This is just the printed naked hardback. I love it. I specifically waited so long. I kept seeing used versions of the paperback that I could have bought way cheaper, but I really, really wanted the hardback. So I finally got it this year. I'm really excited. I think it's absolutely breathtaking. And this is one that I briefly started earlier this year, and then I guess I technically softy enough to, I put it down because I think at the time I wasn't able to really physically read a lot, and then I just, all my like holiday reads and whatnot and TBRs and stuff like that popped up, and so I just never continued it. But this is one that I do really want to prioritize reading. Next up, we have one. This is arguably probably one of the biggest books. This next section is like massive. This I think is the biggest book that I have on here. However, it is mixed media, so hopefully it goes by really quick. And that is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the second book in the Illuminae files. I reread Illuminae. You can kind of see. You can see that's such a little. Okay, there we go. I reread Illuminae earlier this year, I think. And so now I have Gemina. I want to read this one, and then I've not read this one yet ever, so this will be a new read for me. I've only read the Illuminae files previously, and that was actually during 2020 because I remember I had that one checked out with a bunch of other books when my library shut down for COVID. So that's why I know for a fact I read the first one in 2020. So I want to keep going because I really enjoyed it, and when I reread it, I also really enjoyed it. So I want to keep reading this so that way I can then go and buy, if you know, ideally, hopefully buy the third book and read that. I think there's like a novella as well that I need to read, but either way, I want to read this. It's massive and it's super intimidating. However, it is mixed media and it's not like they're filled like end to end with words and whatnot. So it's not as intimidating as it looks. So I just need to tell myself to just pick it up and reading. And also that goes into the goal video that I'm going to be filming later about I'm changing how I'm reading going into 2026. So next up, this is the book that is in the center of my bingo board, has the most chances for helping with a bingo. And that was a very strategic decision on why I chose The Games Gods Play by Abigail Owen. Because this is the only book on this TBR. Yes, I had to verify that. This is the only book on this TBR that is a reread. This is the only one, which is why it's in that middle slot. Because I really, really, really want to prioritize this one because the second book came out. I started reading it. I was enjoying it. However, I was realizing I had kind of forgotten some details from this first one that I think was slightly hindering my enjoyment of the second one. Not that I wouldn't have been able to read through it, not that I wouldn't have been able to enjoy it. I just thought that I would enjoy it more if I went back and reread the first one. And so that's what I'm going to do. So, The Games Gods Play, it is kind of like Greek mythology meets Hunger Games of sorts, because there are trials and whatnot, where basically Every, I think it's 1,000 years, the gods from the Greek pantheon basically choose a human to basically represent them in these games, and whatever human wins, that god then basically becomes the head of the pantheon until the next games. And Hades has never competed, and this year he does, and he chooses our main character. And I absolutely loved this book. I highly recommend it, and so I'm very excited for my reread of this, so that way I can then go into the second one, which is The Things Gods Break, and then eventually read the third one, whose title I currently can't remember. This video is starting to get a bit long. I just took a quick water break, and now we're back into it. We're going to start speed running through this because I am talking way too much. Next book I have is Dawn of the Darkest Day by Casey Woodruff. This is one that I found at the Bookish Box store. I believe this is a local author, or at the very least it is a indie author that, and this book was there. It was the only one that was there, and it sounded interesting to me. There are fae, like, look at the man, look at the fairy, look at the fae. He's pretty. He's also got a cool sword and one. And so I really don't remember much of what it is, but it is definitely something that I picked up, read the back, and thought what sounded really cool. And so I am really excited to read it. And then also it's one of the, because it's an indie, so it's got it's the big floppy paperback, so I'm really excited to read this, just because I think the experience of reading it is going to be so nice in your hands. If you know, you know. But yes, this is a romantasy, and what can I say? I have my preferred genres. You will notice there is one genre on here that I do enjoy reading that I just don't have any books of because I don't really physically own any of those anymore, and that is kind of mystery thrillers. I do still enjoy those. But I'm very particular about them, and also I don't tend to keep them on my bookshelves anymore because a lot of them are one-time reads for me. Also, any of my classics that are unread are also not on here because for some reason the idea of putting them on there stresses me out. Even though they are on my TBR and I do want to get to them, I think those are just ones I want to read in my own time. But anyways, that's a tangent. We got to keep going. Next we have In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. I read Lovelight Farms 3 weeks ago? I think it was 3 weeks ago or whatever. It was in November. And that is her wintry Christmas one, and I really enjoyed it. So I'm really excited to be going on to In the Weeds. This is the spring one. This is also currently the only one I own because I didn't realize they're interconnected standalones, but I didn't realize they're a little bit too interconnected for my taste to not read them in order. And so I went and reread Lovelight Farms first, so now I'm going to get to In the Weeds, and it is following the farmer that works on the farm that we meet in the first book, and then also a influencer who also we meet in the first one. And they have a history together. They had a one-night stand. They get reunited in the first book. And this is their love story, and I'm excited to read this one. Alrighty, we're now on to the last 2 rows, so we're on starting the 4th row. And next up I have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. So yes, I do have some repeat authors on this. This is, again, one of the oldest books in my in my collection. So the 3 oldest books that I have are Circe, The Song of Achilles, and Beatrice. Those are the 3 oldest ones. Everything else is fairly newer, which I'm very proud about because I am trying to stay on top of it. But anyways, this is another Greek mythology kind of influenced story, and this one I believe is a romance, but I'm really excited for it. I have heard nothing but good things. This particular one was also a gift from my husband. He went to Oregon, yes, Oregon with some friends for a friend trip. I was unable to make it, and they went to Powell's bookstore, and so he got me this kind of as a souvenir. So I'm really excited to read this. I've had this on my collection a little bit too long, but that's okay. Next up we have the Grimoire Grammar School Parent Teacher Association. This is one that I randomly saw at Half Price Books while I was selling books. I was browsing through and I saw this one, and it just sounded so cute, and I am so excited for it. But basically the character Vivian, her daughter gets bitten by a werewolf, and so she is now thrust into this magical universe, and she's now adjusting to having a child that's a werewolf. And like, just the fact that it's also a kindergartner, it's a 5-year-old. It's just so funny to me, and I don't really know much else, or I don't really remember much else about it, but that's kind of the basis. I'm very excited. I have been since I saw this and picked it up. It is one that I have put on a few TBRs, but I just haven't been able to get to it, so I'm really going to prioritize this one in 2026. Which also is crazy to think about, the fact that I'm saying 2026. Like, that feels wild. Anyways, next up we have Twisted by Emily McIntyre. I really want to prioritize this series in 2026. So I read the first 3, I think 2024, 2025, I think that time frame, like that transition of the year, or into 20, I don't quite fully remember, but I got the rest of, like, pretty much the entire series for Christmas last year. And I have 3 books left that I haven't read. You'll see another one later. This is the next one I have that is Twisted. And this one follows... Is this the Jafar? Is this the Aladdin one? Yes, this is the Aladdin one. So the Never After series is kind of like a romance between the villain and then the female main character. And this is the Aladdin one. So I'm really excited for this one. I absolutely loved the others. And so, you know, I want to keep going. Next up, I have Part of Your World by Amy Jimenez. I have heard nothing but good things about all of her books, but this is the only one that I have right now because I got this, and luckily at the time stopped myself from buying any more books. So I really want to get to her other books, and I don't own them yet because I need to read this one. This one is a romance. I don't fully quite remember what exactly this particular one is, just because I'm seeing so many people reviewing like the 3rd book in this series, and so that is the synopsis that is currently in my head. However, I do believe they're interconnected standalones that you kind of have to read all of them for. That's kind of the vibe that I've gotten off of them, but like everybody loves it, so I'm excited for this one. And I think this one was also on last year's bingo board that I didn't get to, but it's okay. It's okay. We're getting to it now. And then next, we have The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is one of the very last mystery type thriller books. This actually might be the very last one. This is the very last mystery type thriller book that I have on my bookshelves that I have not read. Which is crazy to think. This is the last one that I have. This is the only non-romance book in this. But this is set in a retirement home. Where 4 friends get together, I think, every week to basically they just like talk about unsolved crimes and whatnot, and they're going to try to solve a murder, I guess. And that just sounds so funny to me. And this potentially has a chance to be one that I want to keep the series on my shelves. We'll have to see, which is why I still own it. I have like unhauled all of my other books because they're not ones that I'm going to like. I'm still interested in reading those, but I know I'm not going to want to keep them. But this one, I think, might be one that I want to keep. So I do have this one, but I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be fun. I've heard great things from it. But yes, now we're on to the last row. These are the last 5 books of this bingo board. Next up, we have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I have read one other book by her, and that was Daisy Jones and the Six. Wasn't my favorite book ever. But I did read it. I really loved the audiobook. That is, what is on this? If you're going to read Daisy Jones and the Six and you haven't heard already, I definitely recommend we're just going to ignore the sticker residue that's apparently on this. I would definitely recommend the audiobook for that. But she does, like, from my understanding, her romances kind of are, potentially leaning a little bit literary fiction, which aren't my favorite. And so she is one that I like am a little bit hesitant to go into. I do also have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, right? Yes, I also have that one on my bookshelf, and so I would also like to get to that one. However, I paid for this one. The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I found at a little free library. So I don't feel as guilty about that one, making that one wait a little bit longer. Plus, I got this one first, so I want to prioritize reading this one. But if I remember correctly, our main character, her name is Emma. She gets married to her high school sweetheart, and I think he dies. Right? He gets into it. Yes. On their first wedding anniversary, he is in a helicopter that goes missing. And then he's gone. And then she eventually, moves on, and like 10 years, like a decade later, she ends up she runs into an old friend. She's engaged. And then her first husband pops back up, and it's what do you do from there. I just thought that was really interesting, and I'm really curious to see what she does with it. So that is one that is on my TBR. Then we have The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Angumandana. The second book of this was just in the Goodreads Awards, I believe. But it's kind of like a cozy fantasy romantic book. I don't quite know what genre this is supposed to be because I never thought to classify this as cozy fantasy. I just thought this was like a romantasy, like a light romantasy kind of thing. But I guess it's a cozy. Which I'm not mad at, but it's basically about a witch who kind of has to keep her secrets, like her powers secret, and then she's like also running an inn or something like that. What is going on with this lighting? Oh, oh no, we gotta stop that. I'm not a big fan of this angle that I have just because of where I have everything set, but I am not moving anything more than I have to right now. And you get to see the very crazy state of my bookshelves right now, but at least that crazy lighting is gone for now. It's the joys of trying to film early in the morning with windows that are getting the morning light. But anyways, we have 3 books left. Next up, we have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane. This was also on last year's TBR bingo board, and this is a gay romance? Yes. Yeah, this is an MLM romance, and this is a reality star. Yes. So this is one where I think I'm gonna be 50-50 on. I'm still trying to figure out the tropes for like celebrities and reality stars, stuff like that. So, but that is what this one is. I am really interested in this one. This one I had the audiobook come in, I think in 2025. It could have been 2024, but I think it was 2025. I had it come in and I went to go start reading it and basically found out it was due in like 2 days because I was trying to finish other stuff before I got to this one. And so I just ran out of time. But I am still very interested in this one. So this is on my TBR. Honestly, if I may regret signing this. We'll see what 2026 Lex has to say. But if I don't get to this one by the end of next year, this one may be one that I have to unhaul just because like I need to prioritize it. This is the book that I have in this collection that potentially could be unhauled before 2026 even starts, although because it's on this list I may wait and whatnot. But this is one that I found at a little free library and it sounded interesting enough, but it is a holiday romance, and that is The Kingdom of Sweets by Erica Johansson. And this is like Nutcracker, like inspired by the Nutcracker and whatnot, and I thought it sounded good. I thought it sounded interesting. However, I'm very particular and don't read a whole lot of like holiday, Christmassy time reads. So we'll see. I may not wait until Christmas. Also, like looking at the text on this, like this feels like it would be a quick read. But we'll see what I do with this one. If I don't end up reading it, I will just return this to a little free library to let somebody else enjoy it sooner than I would. And then last up on my bingo board, we have Crossed by Emily McIntyre. So this is part of the Never After series of the villain romance. And this one is this Notre Dame? Yes, because that says Father Cade. Yeah, so this is the Hunchback of Notre Dame inspired. Oh, I guess the bell. I guess the bell would have also told me this is the Hunchback of Notre Dame. This is the one out of this whole series that I know the least about. I remember watching the movie as a kid, but it was not my favorite. So it's not one that I like actively rewatched a lot. I think I've only watched the movie maybe like 3 times in my life. Maybe I'll rewatch it after I read this. But yes, this is the 5th book in this series. And so again, I really liked the rest of the books in the series, so I want to finish it. And so yeah, I have that one. But yes, that is all of the 25 books that I have on my 2026 TBR bingo. I am very excited for all of these books. I am really curious to see what I think. Again, my main goal of this TBR is not necessarily to read all of them. They are ones I want to prioritize and I would love to read all of them, but like I'm not going to be like, okay, it's January, got to pick a book off of my TBR to like go through and read them. They're just ones that I'm hoping I naturally get to. That is kind of what I do with these. And then just seeing how the pages end up colored throughout the year. Do I complete them? Do I DNF them? Do I unhaul them unread? What does that look like? So I'm really excited for this, and I'm really excited to see what comes out of it. But that is it for this video, you guys. If you liked it, be sure to give it a thumbs up if you want. If you don't, that's cool too. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.